to Deep Sleep Stories. Thank you to everyone who's been listening. If these stories help you relax or fall asleep, a short review, comment, or sharing the podcast with someone who might benefit is a simple and meaningful way to support the show so that we may continue to offer it for free. Now, take a slow, gentle breath and let's begin tonight's story.
Welcome to Deep Sleep Stories. You've chosen a quiet moment for yourself, a moment to drift into an ocean of tranquility. In tonight's gentle journey, you'll float along a Hawaiian beach at sunset, lulled by the distant strum of a ukulele. There's nothing to do now but rest, breathe, and softly melt into the sounds and images woven together just for you. Feel how your body begins to relax with every exhale. Feel the release of any lingering tension in your shoulders, down your arms and through your fingertips. Notice the gentle rise and fall of your breath, a slow and steady rhythm that promises calm. Let the events of the day slip away, leaving the present moment as the only one that matters. Your eyelids feel increasingly heavy, and with each breath, you sink a little deeper into softness. Allow the hush of this story to envelop you like a warm blanket of nighttime sky. Now, picture a pristine Hawaiian shoreline, tinted orange by a setting sun. A ripple of waves caressing the sand in languid sweeps. Feel the faint salt in the air, the sweet hush of nature singing a lullaby in the distance. Sense the gentle pluck of ukulele strings somewhere far off, a mellow invitation to slow down, to let go. Continue breathing deeply, welcoming a sensation of peace that flows from the top of your head to the bottoms of your feet, grounding you in this serene space. On a sandy stretch of Hawaiian beach, a gentle evening breeze drifted over a girl named Lani. The day had been warm, kissed by a radiant sun that now began its subtle descent towards the horizon. With the fading light, a gilded glow stretched across the shoreline, painting the water with molten shades of orange and gold. Shadows lengthened, but not ominously. Rather, they provided a comforting blanket that signaled the day's gentle wind down. Lani walked close to the waves, her feet sinking softly into the wet sand. Small shells and bits of coral dotted the shore, glinting under the waning sunlight. She found herself mesmerized by the distinct pattern the ocean left in the sand. Each time a wave receded, a momentary design that shimmered and vanished, replaced a heartbeat later by a new one. Around her, the air smelled of salt and hibiscus blossoms as the island's vegetation stirred softly in the night's approach. Farther inland grew clusters of vibrant bougainvillea, their petals seeming to stretch in farewell to the sun's warmth. But Lani's attention was firmly on the ocean, for there was a gentle resonance in its hush. Every wave had its own gentle sigh, a musical note that rose and fell, reminiscent of a slow, comforting lullaby. She paused a moment, letting her toes sink deeper into the sand as another wave brushed over her ankles. It was lukewarm, warmed by the sun's rays throughout the day, and the sensation reminded her of a tender embrace. Up above, a few fluffy clouds moved gracefully, as though choreographed by invisible strings. Where the sky met the water, That bold orange glow reigned, shimmering with the promise of upcoming twilight. A little farther down the beach, an old fishing boat was propped against a line of slender palm trees. Its paint had peeled from years of sunshine and sea salt, revealing the weather-beaten wood beneath. Beside it lay an oar half buried in the sand, testifying to countless fishing trips that the boat had once known. Now it simply rested, part of the tranquil stage set for the evening's gentle performance. With light, unhurried steps, Lani wandered closer, drawn by the faint sound of a ukulele. At first, she wasn't sure if it was real or just her imagination, but as she continued along the shore, the music grew a bit clearer. Each chord was slow and gentle, like a whisper in the hush of dusk. She paused to listen fully. The melody was neither loud nor complicated. It was a simple sequence of notes that resonated in the heart, urging the mind to slow and the spirit to rest. Lani found a smooth piece of driftwood to sit upon. She reached down to pick up a small, round shell from the sand, turning it over in her hand. The quiet strumming of the ukulele continued, and she felt her breathing align with that easy tempo. Time began to feel suspended, the evening stretching itself out in a soft continuum of golden light and velvety air. A few small birds darted along the water's edge, pecking at the tide's leftovers. Gentle breezes ruffled their feathers, and they fluttered away for a moment before resuming their search. The hush was all-encompassing, broken only by the sea's steady, soothing pulse and the distant strum of that ukulele. In that calm, unhurried space, Lani felt as though each breath she took harmonized with the music, the ocean, and the gentle movements of the life around her. With the sun drawing ever closer to the horizon, an orange haze filled the sky, drifting into pink and lavender at the edges. The vast Pacific glimmered, softly reflecting pastel shades, as if each ripple held a tiny mirror, capturing the sky's display. Small waves lapped against the shore with a confident yet mild cadence, reminding any who listened that nature's lullaby was a rhythmic cycle, never ceasing. In the sand near Lani, little sand crabs scuttled by, quickly burrowing in as soon as they noticed a presence larger than themselves. She quietly observed them with curiosity, finding their skittish nature almost playful. They moved in harmony with the tide, venturing out to find morsels in the wet sand, then scurrying away when the next wave arrived. Each small motion added to the tapestry of the evening's calm. Further along, near a gently swaying palm tree, sat a kindly, older man with weathered hands and kind eyes. His name was Kimo, and he was the source of that soft ukulele melody. Leaning against the tree trunk, he plucked the strings in a slow, hypnotic rhythm that seemed to echo the balance between the day and the night. He had a serene expression on his face, lost in the simple joy of creating a melody that blended seamlessly with the ocean's hush. Lani watched him for a while, appreciating how the music shaped the twilight's magic. Kimo's ukulele had a gentle timbre. The chords expanded out like gentle waves overlapping on the shore. It was the kind of music you could feel in your chest, soft, comforting, full of warmth. Although Lani felt a hint of curiosity about Kimo, she also felt that approaching him directly might shatter the spell. For now, she was content to listen and observe. The beach itself took on an even more dreamlike quality. Soft pale sands stretched in a wide arc, dotted here and there with shells and flecks of volcanic rock that had washed up over time. Farther inland, the beach transitioned into lush vegetation. Low shrubs, ferns, and broad-leafed plants that thrived in the island's tropical climate. Hidden among the leaves were the subtle chirps of little night creatures beginning to stir. If one peered closely, they might catch sight of a curious gecko or a tiny land snail, each living its life at a pace that matched the unhurried nature of the evening. As the sun slipped lower, the sky deepened into richer hues. It was as though an artist were gently blending watercolors across a giant canvas. The horizon now glowed with a fiery orange center, fading into a soft lavender that wrapped itself around drifting clouds. Above that, the sky was turning a soft indigo, an early sign of the impending night. Kimo's ukulele melody held steady. Now and then he paused, letting the notes linger in the quiet air before drifting into another sequence. The pause was just as soothing as the music itself. A moment of breath, a moment of stillness. Lani realized how deeply peaceful it felt to be in this atmosphere, present with the rhythms of the world. The breeze carried the scent of plumeria, mingled with the salt of the ocean. Tiny blossoms had fallen onto the sand, creating delicate patterns next to footprints and scattered shells. As the light grew softer, the temperature dipped slightly, but not enough to be uncomfortable, just enough for the air to cool into a gentle embrace. In the shallows, fish made swift, darting movements, leaving shimmering trails in the water. Small waves sometimes revealed glimpses of their silvery scales before they darted away again. Above, a band of birds flew across the sky, heading toward a far-off cluster of palm trees. They cried out in gentle calls that echoed against the deepening backdrop. Yet, not even those calls disturbed the serenity. Instead, they contributed to the lull of island life winding down. The smooth driftwood beneath Lani provided a surprisingly comfortable seat. She rested her hands on her lap, letting her shoulders relax, her spine tall but not tense. She closed her eyes momentarily, inhaling deeply through her nose and feeling a velvety quiet settle inside. The hush around her seemed to encourage that deepening presence. When she opened her eyes, she caught sight of a glint of light near the old fishing boat. Perhaps it was a reflection of the setting sun on a piece of metal, or maybe it was a trick of the light. She stood, brushing off grains of sand, and walked in that direction to explore. As she approached, she noticed a set of footprints in the wet sand, leading toward the boat and then curving around behind it. For a moment, she wondered who else might be sharing the evening with her. Turning behind the boat, she discovered a carefully placed arrangement of smooth stones that formed a small circle. Within that circle lay a scattering of colourful shells, arranged in a pattern like a mandala. It was a quiet piece of art, perhaps left by a visitor earlier in the day. Or maybe someone had created it the previous evening. Either way, it looked like a gentle gift from the sea. Lani spent a moment admiring the miniature creation, shades of coral pink, pearly white, and sandy beige forming an elegant design. The stones that enclosed it had been smoothed by the waves, each one shaped over countless years into a rounded pebble. A peaceful reverence filled her heart, as if this small art piece spoke of devotion to nature's beauty, reminding her that even fleeting creations can bring solace. Overhead, a faint ribbon of stars was starting to show in the dimming sky. At the horizon, the sun's fiery orb was half submerged now, the day's final glow stretching across the surface of the water in a shimmering path. It was that magical moment in Hawaii when the sky held both day and night. In balanced harmony, a suspended breath before darkness gently claimed the scene. The ukulele's gentle chords floated once more on the breeze. Lani let the melody guide her footsteps back toward Kimo and the cluster of palms. He kept his eyes on the horizon, as if each note was inspired by the delicate beauty unfolding before him. She remained at a respectful distance, settling herself on the sand, crossing her legs beneath her. She gazed at the sky, entranced by the hues that seemed impossibly vibrant, even as they gently faded. Soon the sun dipped below the horizon, leaving behind a gentle afterglow. Shades of pink and purple swirled where orange had been. The water, no longer lit by the bright sun, adopted a dusky sheen. The breeze held a slightly cooler note now, and the hush of early nightfall arrived softly but unmistakably. As twilight settled in, Kimo's gentle strumming continued. He varied the melody in subtle ways, each chord a soothing wave washing over the darkening beach. Now the sky was home to a winking array of stars. The air felt kind, encouraging a deeper sense of rest, like a mother tucking in a child for the night. After a short while, Kimo placed his ukulele against the trunk of the palm. He stood, dusting off the sand from his legs, and began to stroll down the beach. His footprints were imprinted softly in the damp sand, each step slow and unhurried. Lani chose not to follow too closely, simply watching the gentle shape of the older man move against the rolling backdrop of nighttime waves. As he walked away, the beach remained peaceful, the hush undisturbed. The ocean now glowed with subtle moonlight, though the moon itself was still a faint curve in the sky. Lani took another deep breath. The air seemed even more still, as if the entire world were exhaling, gently calling all souls to rest. She rose from her seat and ambled toward the water, letting the waves come to greet her feet again. They felt slightly cooler now, a soft contrast to the warmth of the sand. The rhythmic ebb and flow of the tide resonated through her body. She could almost feel the tug of the moon's pull in the gentle swell of each wave. A few steps behind, palm trees rustled, their fronds whispering secrets in the darkness. She could hear the faint calls of night creatures awakening to roam among the leaves. Off in the distance, Chemo's figure disappeared around a bend in the coastline, the last faint echo of his melody fading into the hush of the night. Yet, in the mind's ear, the ukulele seemed to continue. Its chords lingered, woven into the memory of the shore. Lani noticed the softness of the sand beneath her feet as she walked. Each step felt cushiony, cradling the soles of her feet. She wandered a bit farther until she found another comfortable spot near a small dune. There she sat facing the ocean, letting the lullaby of the waves envelop her. If there was a single place on earth designed for unwinding, she thought, it was here, where the sky and sea melded into twilight, where music drifted in and out like a friendly spirit, and where every detail of nature suggested a slow exhale. The stars were becoming bolder now. Constellations emerged, shimmering with a quiet brilliance. She recognized a few from her childhood nights, pointing them out in her mind. The stretch of sky over the Pacific was vast and serene, glistening with celestial wonders that seemed infinite. Lani leaned back, using her arms for support, and let her gaze wander across that stellar tapestry. Each star twinkled in gentle communication with the ocean below, as if reflecting the hush. The sound of a distant conch shell briefly echoed across the beach. Lani recognized it as a traditional signal of sunset and the coming night, a respectful note in honor of the island's heritage. The air around her seemed to vibrate gently with a soulful presence, as though the conch's tone carried ancient memories of songs, chants, and heartfelt prayers. A deeper darkness settled in, yet it was not oppressive. Instead, it was the comforting darkness of night that embraced the shore, wrapping the land, the sea, and Lani in a soft blanket. In the distance, the gentle lights of a small village winked, the glow of porch lanterns and warm windows reflecting softly on the water. Everything felt connected: people and waves, stars and breezes, hearts and hush. The memory of Chemo's ukulele played on in Lani's thoughts. Every so often, she found herself almost hearing the notes as if they were still drifting on the nighttime air. Her breathing remained slow and deep, in time with the gentle surge of waves. It was as if the ocean had extended an invitation, not just to witness this scene, but to become part of it, to allow heart and mind to align with a single peaceful current. Time had melted into a dreamy flow. The beach no longer measured it in minutes, but rather in slow, continuous moments of ease. A wave rolled in, a soft whoosh and a hush. A breeze fluttered the palm fronds with a light rustle. Faraway laughter emerged and faded among the breeze, maybe from a gathering by a beach fire. The flicker of a torch or two danced at the edges of Lani's vision, but the details remained blurred by the serenity. In the grand tapestry of the night, everything felt balanced. Even the gentle movement of the tides, ever persistent, was peaceful. Each crest of water inched upon the shore, then withdrew with a delicate swish, leaving behind a reflective sheen upon the sand. The resonance of the ocean song fused with the ukulele's memory, forming an internal lullaby that soothed every muscle in Lani's body. At last, she let herself lie down fully on the sand, arms spread slightly, her gaze set on the infinite stretch of sky. Tiny grains clung to her clothes, but she didn't mind. There was a comforting weight in the grounding touch of the earth. The scent of the salt breeze felt purifying, releasing any last remnants of busyness lingering in her thoughts. When she breathed out, she could almost see her worries, small and translucent, floating away into the night. Somewhere on the breeze, or perhaps within her own calm heart, that ukulele melody reappeared, plucking out a simple, tender tune. The chords did not ask for attention. They merely existed, drifting through the quiet. She heard them even when silence reigned. They fused with the wave song, the breeze in the palms, and the rhythmic beat of her own resting body. In that cradle of sand, lulled by the hush of the island night, Lani's thoughts slowed into gentle shapes. She imagined herself as part of the sea, rising and falling with the tide. She pictured the phosphorescent glow that sometimes sparkled in the water, tiny underwater organisms lighting up as the waves moved in the darkness. It made her feel that even in the blackness of night, hidden wonders glistened just beneath the surface, waiting to be discovered. A feeling of deep gratitude swept over her. Gratitude for the sun that had warmed the day, for the sweet, fleeting notes of a ukulele carried on the wind, for the velvety sky dotted with constellations. She smiled, though barely, her lips curving in a subtle sign of contentment, as if exhaling a gentle thanks to the world around her. Eventually, the breeze grew almost still, leaving the beach in a grand hush. Occasionally, a mild gust would pass by, ruffling the tops of the palm trees. But it was so soft that it felt like a feather brushing against the night. The tranquility was now profound, as if all of nature was collaborating to cradle any visitor who wished to slip into restful reverie. High above, the moon had finally revealed itself, a slender crescent that shimmered in silver light. It sent a thin trail of radiance across the water, just enough to illuminate the gentle dance of the waves. That celestial glow formed a pathway that seemed to stretch into the infinite, an invitation for the spirit to wander into the realms of calm dreams. Lani stayed there for a long while, letting herself grow drowsy with the comforting sounds and sights. One by one, her senses began to soften. The subtle shift in the air no longer registered in her mind. The shapes of clouds and stars above lost their edges, drifting into a blur that lulled her further. She felt as though she were floating on the breath of the night itself, gently cradled by the hush of the beach. When her eyelids closed, the ocean was still singing its lullaby, and the memory of the ukulele drifted in the corners of her mind. She did not resist the gentle pull of sleep that rose up from the depths of the evening, did not fight the wave of rest washing over her. she simply let go, sinking into the layers of silence and song. Now the scene rested in soft stillness. The moonlight shimmered, and night birds tucked themselves into safe branches. The waves continued their timeless dance, lapping steadily at the shore, a metronome for every sleeping creature on the beach. Palms swayed like silent guardians, their fronds gently waving goodnight to the stars. In this final lull, all sense of time blurred into the hush of the sea. The beach lay calm, the sand soft, the ocean motherly in its even, rocking pulse. If your eyes were to grow heavy at this moment, you would find the same comfort Lani experienced, a serenity that flows through the heart, gently coaxing you into a deeper realm of rest. Feel the invitation of this night, open-armed and soothing. The soft hush that offers to envelop you now is the kind that has been lulling travelers for centuries, speaking the same calming language, no matter the listener's background or worries. Each wave is another breath, each note of the distant ukulele another reassurance. You may sense your muscles loosening even more, your mind drifting on a gentle current. Here, tension finds no foothold. Here, each heartbeat synchronizes with the ocean's endless lullaby. Let that comfort guide you toward deep, unbroken slumber. Let the gentle hush of the sea and the faint echo of strummed strings cradle you. Soon, nothing will remain but the peace of night, the quiet whisper of the shore, and the warmth of the sand beneath you. Allow yourself to sink into that comfort, as though drifting on a cloud of soft moonlight. Each breath is softer now, each thought lighter. Let the embrace of twilight carry you into the sweetest realms of rest. Good night, dear traveler. May the ocean's lullaby guide you gently into dreams, as warm and comforting as a Hawaiian sunset. Sleep well.